Welcome, everyone. This is Planet Mitch, and I am from a website called planet5d.com, and this is episode number 2 of something that we're now calling Tech Talk Time. So we have a couple of co-hosts, Michael Artsis
Hey, how's it going? What's up? How you
and
doing out
Paul
there?
Forsman.
How's it going?
Great, Paul. Great to have you on here.
Yep, good to be on screen.
And what time is it now?
It is Tech Talk time. I should do that better. Hold on. It is Tech Talk time.
Okay,
Tech
that
Talk time.
totally blew everything out of the water. All right, so much.
I should have lowered my audio first. Is that what you're saying?
Or do it a little better too next time, maybe.
Yeah, I'll work on that. Maybe I could practice. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world's most famous tech show. It's Tech Talk time. How's that?
That's
That was
awesome.
better.
You like that one?
That was better.
It's much better.
I like how Paul, the producer at the kids' table, is weighing in on how it was.
I could hear you from the other side.
Paul is in the studio here at Be Terrific. I'm in the studio. He's in the edit room.
Yeah, I'm right across the hallway.
And I am in the St. Louis annex of BeTerrific.com.
There you go. And you've got Alf with you. So, Mitch, I'm really excited about this show because we've got a lot to talk about, and it starts with probably my favorite topic of all topics, and that's phones. And the Amazon Fire is finally shipping. And the thing that I think is most interesting about the Amazon Fire is, it doesn't seem like there are that many people that excited about it. It has some interesting features, but to me, what Amazon did here is what they've done all along, and that is take some maybe like 6-month-old technology, slap it together into a device, and say, hey, here it is with a couple new shiny features. This is an Android phone that I want to get excited about, but is locked down to a Amazon version of Android, and then take it one step further. What'd you say?
So it's not really Android, which is what
Right.
I've learned with the Amazon Kindle Fire that I have.
Exactly. And then you take it one step further, and it's really something, I think, for people who are a little bit technology challenged. I think this is something you give to your mother-in-law, you give to your kids to start out. They have some great features, but to me, I want to love these devices, and I just feel like they come up just short. Now, it has some great photo features, optical image stabilization, some other things that I think could be super cool, but its app store is very limited. Very few apps in the App Store compared to Android or iOS. It doesn't have the fit and finish from what I'm told, and I haven't had it in my hand, of an iPhone or one of the higher-end Androids. I do like Kindle, and I want to like this device, and I think that Amazon's super cool, but to me this is a lower-end phone at a high-end price as opposed to a higher-end phone. And so, it doesn't bother me that it's only on AT&T because I think you buy an unlocked one if you want it bad enough, and you put any SIM card in it you want.
I think it's going to be great for somebody like my mother-in-law, and she's not here to hear me. I hope she's not here. The shopping features on this device would be perfect for her. Now, she doesn't even have a smartphone. She doesn't have an iPhone. It could be something that she would be interested in, but the reason I say that is she's a shopaholic. She goes shopping all the time. And the fact that the Android, the Fire, I said Android, the Amazon Fire phone has these great capabilities of, and like they said in the review, every screen you go to practically has a buy this more. The same thing is true really with this Kindle Fire that I have. Everything I do right below it says, well, buy something like that on Amazon. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. I want to just do what I'm doing.
It's interesting, the Kindle experience is a lot like the Minority Report experience, that movie where Tom Cruise would walk through and things would talk to him. You bought jeans yesterday. How would you like to buy this top to go with your jeans at the Gap? It's kind of that experience all the time where Android and iPhone operating systems, yes, there's advertisements all over the place, and even in the apps, but they're more for the free apps. But they're not like in your face all the time where everything is about shopping, like you're saying. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I know that when I show up at, with the Kindle Fire, or I show up for this, but I just think this isn't for me. I want the phone to be a tool. But that being said, at CE Week, I was talking with, some people who's from Time Magazine who had commissioned a study on how men and women treat their smartphones, and women seem to really have a relationship where they love their smartphones, and they get emotionally attached, and in addition, they use it more for shopping and all these other things. Whereas men seem to use their smartphones as a business tool and as a tool predominantly. And so maybe, just maybe, this is geared more towards that women's audience who maybe want the phone to suggest you should buy this because you bought that, or whatever it is. And in that same regard, maybe that's why I don't like it. But it's not that I don't like it. I want to be excited about it. I saw, oh, it's available now. That's the story. I said, okay, maybe I should buy one because I'm a tech guy and I need to know about these things. And I wanted to like it. And then as I learned more, it had some really cool features. But then it was, to me, I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. The shopping thing turned me off. More importantly, I don't feel it's as robust as I would like in a phone. And lastly, I don't see it really as being a tool, and their app store leaves a lot to be desired. I guess that's just very repetitive to what I said in the beginning. And I'm looking at Paul, the producer, right now through this Google Hangout. So I'm curious what Paul has to say about this, since he's a youngin, and the youngins have a different experience than you and I, Mitch, with their smartphones.
Right, yeah. I have to agree with you. I think it's more like a shopping tool, if anything, because I think on the phone itself it has actual, like, the app that has that connects to the shopping part is called the Firefly, and they actually have like a button on the side of it specifically just for just accessing this app. So like you could just go right to shopping for it, because I mean it is run by like a company that just does selling. So
I do agree that would be really awesome. The fact that you can take your phone and point it at potato chips on the shelf and have it actually take you to Amazon and buy it, figure out, not just by the barcode, but by the fact that it's a bag and it, has certain brand names.
Right, it also does, it says movies, and it can also do audio to it. Is actually really cool.
And phone numbers, and it can also tell you whatever show you're watching exactly what that is. So you'll go back on Prime and watch that whole episode, or you'll buy the library or whatever. And that's the thing, is that, are we going to kill retail completely? So I'm standing in the supermarket and I see that instead of buying one bag of potato chips, I can have 50 for the price of 10 of the real bags in the store. And so now I'm ordering them from Amazon, and I don't even have to leave the store to order them. I don't even have to stand on that line in the supermarket. Well, you do, because you have to get the bag. Well, I guess if you have the bag,
you can just point at the bag.
You just point at it and then pre-order it. Yeah, that's a good point. You don't have to be in the store, Mitch. You took me totally on the wrong path. He is right. You're on the couch watching a football game. You're like, wow, these chips are good. I'd like more of them. I'm going to order more.
They don't show up instantly, though. That's the problem.
No, Amazon has that new like helicopter, don't they?
Yeah. They're going to take the DJI that they've modified and painted black, and they're going to drop
Yeah, it drops right in front of your door.
It'll be there faster than the pizza and wings you ordered an hour ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So you're calling this a girly phone? Is that what you're saying, Michael?
No, I think it's a phone for people who don't want the phone to be a tool, or as much of a tool as we treat our phones. We shoot video with them. We edit video with them. We write. I mean, I put out documents on them and spreadsheets and proposals. I think that people who want to use their phone more as a toy, for fun, for consuming content, it's perfect for those people. For people like us who use it more as a tool, I think it's not as perfect. I think it would actually be perfect for my son Jack when he's 5 or 6. It could be the perfect first phone for him, maybe.
Hopefully he's a little older than that, but
yeah, I doubt it, Mitch. Come on, he's my son.
The kids,
he's already picking up the phone. I mean,
yes.
So. I'm not saying it's a girly phone. I wouldn't say that. I would just say I think it's like my first Sony. It's like my first Kindle. Yeah, it's a starter phone. It's my first smartphone.
Actually, I think in the commercial they star like 10-year-old children in it, I believe, for the phone.
Yeah, and like a 13-year-old girl. Exactly. Well, hey, by the way, speaking of phones, the Moto X digital tattoo allows users to unlock the phone using a digital tattoo. The digital tattoo is a little circular sticker that you can put anywhere that lasts for 5 days and can be worn through water and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I don't even want to finish reading this. Does anybody think this is super cool? Because I don't. I don't want this sticker on me for 5 days, and then what do? I have to get a new sticker? You know, I'm fine with unlocking my phone with my fingerprint, with my eye, and even how Android does it with that little, you know. I'm fine with all these things. I'm even fine with putting in a passcode. It's not that big a deal. Why am I unlocking my phone with a sticker? Does anybody care? Is this something that I really need to even care about?
I just thought this was kind of interesting, actually.
But hold on, Paul. Hold on a second. I wasn't done.
All right.
My question is, and I do want to know if you're interested in it, but my question is seriously, in my mind, is Motorola completely on the wrong track? Would they get their act together? This is what they think is important and what they're paying attention to, is that I could unlock it with a sticker. Paul, go ahead now.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's practical. The 5-day sticker is just like, I don't know why they have it, but they do have another thing called the stick, and it's just like a little thing you clip on. You just like tap your phone to. Because I know for me, it takes a while for me, like, I mean, it's not that long, but like to unlock your phone, they have like the statistics, like 1.9 seconds, something like that, to unlock your phone.
Mitch, I want you to hear that he said it takes a while, and then he said it takes 1.9 seconds.
Well, that's what
society has come to. I was listening to Colin Cowherd on ESPN today, and he was saying that we are a fast food society because we are so impatient we can't even wait for our food to be cooked. And you know, he was talking about all this stuff with just how we have to be, everything has to be instant. He was saying, you know, newspapers, good, but they're dying because they take time to produce, and we want everything instantly. Yes. And so I just think, like, I mean, come on, 1.9 seconds, you can't enter in an unlock code.
I have a solution, by the way, for those of you who have a phone that are doing this constantly. It's called delay, or I've forgotten exactly what it is on the iPhone. But I have my phone set to not prompt me for a password for an hour.
Right.
Or 30 minutes. Okay, so if I'm using the phone every 10, 15 minutes, then that just keeps getting extended. I don't have it set to lock and unlock every time I touch the damn phone, which is what my daughter does. And every time she touches the phone, she has to unlock the 4 numbers, and then 5 minutes later, she has to do it again. Quit doing that, people. Set it for 30 minutes. If you lose the phone, then it's secure.
Wait, what was that? How do you set that?
Oh my God, Paul, really? Like, you know what though? Why can't I just do this? I mean, this is the iPhone.
No, I think the thumbprint is just as good as that. I think it's actually better than the sticker.
The thumbprint is much better. And by the way, I showed the video of this new Motorola thing to my 15-year-old daughter, 16-year-old, 16 now. I have to keep remembering because she just had.
You don't
and
know
she
her
was like,
age.
"That's ridiculous. Why would I put a tattoo on my body and leave it there for 5 days just to be able to unlock my phone?"
Yeah, then people are like, "What's that?" And then the other thing is, what do you do? You're hitting your wrist like this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you have to do.
Awesome. I could see a couple of drop phones when people start drinking.
Lame.
I think they're trying to sell it as like a design aspect of it as well, because it's like they sell different designs for it. I don't know.
Oh yes. Yeah. It's a fashion.
They're customizing their phone. But Paul, let's get back to you. You said you cannot take this 5 minutes. And by 5 minutes, I mean 1.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, sometimes, like, when I'm trying to, like, to fumble with it, like, you know, I don't always get it on the first try. Sometimes it's like,
so let me
sometimes it's kind of a pain.
When you're in Starbucks,
30 minutes.
Right, when you're at Starbucks and you're online and you want to get into Passbook to pay for your coffee, why do you wait to unlock your phone and get into Passbook until you've gotten through the line, made your order, and the person's now standing there going, "I'd like $3.95 for that coffee." Why don't you, while you're standing online, unlock your phone, open Passbook, make your order, scan your phone, and walk out the door? Now, I'm guilty of this too, but I'm not the one complaining about the 1.9 seconds to unlock my phone. I'm just
saying, I'm devil's advocate over here.
Devil's advocate. The devil, maybe, but not the devil's advocate.
You know what I'd like? I'd like to charge my phone faster. Can we do something to charge my phone faster, to make the battery life better? I know that there's something out there that MIT researchers are working on, and they want you to be able to charge your phone with just air. I do not understand this at all, Paul. I'd like it to work because my phone is constantly in air. It's in air right now.
Well, this isn't really going to charge your phone any faster, but you could charge it anywhere.
Well, I mean, if it keeps, I don't need it necessarily faster if it's constantly being charged because it's in air.
Well,
So, yeah.
explanation. Can you explain it, Paul?
I'll try.
Please,
Basically, what it is.
Around this one.
Yeah. So basically, what the researchers found is that they can charge a phone using just the dew from the air. So what they do is they take like the energy it takes from a droplet to jump from like one.
You know what? Can I cut you off for a second?
Huh?
Can I just? This sounds too complicated already. This is like Doc Brown is going to make the DeLorean run on urine. I mean, come on, come on.
I have a sound clip for that one. Hold on. Are you spraying yourself with deer urine or anything like that? That's a clip from one of my other shows, by the way, that I've recorded. But anyway.
I mean, look at this contraption that they have to charge your phone. It's just,
If
I
you,
don't know.
Michael, if you think about it, you know, right now you can get Android devices that you charge by putting on a plate. You know, it does this near field thing and magnetics or whatever. However,
Do you worry about that? I feel like there's something happening there that is going to be poisoning me if I'm near it. Like I wouldn't want my 1-year-old son to be near.
It's just
that device.
dew moving. It's like pieces of
dew.
water
I'm
just
talking about
moving.
the Android. He's
Mountain
not
Dew.
listening. Typical kid. He's not listening.
Well, do you put your cell phone in your crotch while you're driving? You're causing all sorts of problems if you go there, Michael.
Yeah, right.
I don't unless you're, Mitch. I don't unless you're calling me. And, no, I don't. I do not regularly. I mean, it's not like it's never happened, but I do not. I use the cup holder. I use the little shelf. I use the door rest because I do not want my my private area to be radiated by my cell phone, so that Look, when I was Paul's age, we used to talk about how far we could reach with our and how robust it was, and how many times in a day, right? So if that's the case. I still subscribe to that, and I still want to perform as well as I can. I don't want a phone near me, anywhere near that area. I mean, when you go to get an X-ray, they put a freaking lead bib over that area, specifically. No, I don't want my cell phone there. And I've been on a cell phone tower, and I've had I mean, it is ridiculous, the radiation that goes through those towers. I can tell you firsthand, and I went to the doctor. I never go to the doctor. I never get sick. I got the worst sore throat of my life. My throat was fried from this thing. And the doctor was like, oh, that's ridiculous. Meanwhile, in talking with all the techs that work on the towers, they all have headaches every day. They all feel terrible. They all have all these symptoms, and they all get fried. They all feel like they're fried. I had the radiation monitor on me when I went up there, and it went off like a banana. It was like a fire alarm.
Banana?
A banana.
A banana
I don't know where
goes
I was going. All I know is it went off like crazy. It was nuts. This thing was like the whole time I was up there, and I had the worst sore throat for months, and it literally felt like somebody had fried the inside of my throat. So I know that we're getting radiation. I live with it. I accept it, but I don't know if I want. And I'm asking you, do you think that little plate that you put your Android on is frying you?
I know it. And I don't have one. I would like to have something like that because I'm really tired of using cords. I do not know the physics or the electronics behind that, so at this point I'm not too concerned about it, but maybe that's because I'm sticking my head in the hole.
But I think that the dew would be a good idea if we could eventually do the dew easily. I mean, I just think, like, I'm going to go out in the backyard, I'm going to find some dew. I mean, how are we going to make this work?
Well, hey,
it seems to be really humid. That's what.
Yeah, you need to have humidity, which is
we're all moving to Miami so that we can charge our phone.
Right.
But if you think about the fact that the people at MIT are really not thinking about you and me here in the first world, they're thinking about people that are in the third world that don't have access to electricity easily, but yet they still want to have their cell phone charged, or you're out.
Because they all have cell phones.
So that they
in
can
third world
order on
countries.
Amazon and a drone can deliver it for them? I mean, I hear this all the time. And I'm not really sure why somebody in Kibera, Africa, needs a cell phone.
they need to talk to their friends in the other.
Who is the cell phone provider? These people can't afford food, and they don't have water. I'm asked to send them 12 cents a day by Alyssa Milano, and somehow they have better cell service than me.
I don't know, Michael. I've never been in Africa or India where there are, but there are people that are out there that are trying to use phones, and
In India, they need.
to have access to ability to charge. I mean, there was a Kickstarter not too long ago with the device that generates electricity by hanging a bucket of water, and it spins down and it charges your cell phone.
That's no different than the Hoover Dam.
Exactly, that's correct.
Just a small Hoover Dam.
A small Hoover.
That's really.
But
Right.
so but the point is that there are people out there that need that kind of charging, and this particular device they think maybe could charge a phone in 12 hours. Well, that's obviously not something you or I need. It's meant for some people that are in remote locations.
Unless you could figure out, like I said in the beginning, how to charge my phone in the air or the dew constantly so my phone never loses charge. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
these solar chargers. Have you ever tried one of those solar chargers? Somebody gave me one a year ago. I put it on my dashboard of my car when I got to the office, and I read the thing as I thought it was charging, and it said you need 14 hours of sunlight to get a full charge on this. I said, 14? Where am I? I'm not going to be at the office for 14 hours. Not only am I not going to be at the office for 14 hours, there isn't 14 hours of sunlight.
Not in New York.
Direct sunlight for 14 hours.
Yeah, that's craziness. Now, batteries are improving. We're constantly needing more batteries that do better stuff. We all bitch about the iPhone and other devices not holding a charge, but it's better than it used to be, so we're moving forwards, right?
Exactly. Do you remember the first cell phones you literally would turn on, make a phone call, turn off real quick, and you'd never spend more than a few minutes, not only because of the cost of the minutes, but also because you'd have no battery.
I saw on Twitter today that, and I didn't verify it, so it could be wrong, but today is like the 20th anniversary of the very first cell phone, and it was, one of those big mobile phones, and it was $4,000.
Maybe the first consumer phone, which would be that Motorola whatever, because I know that the cell phones have been out way longer than that. They had phones in briefcases. I mean, that's technically a cellular phone. The Army has had cellular technology. I mean, yeah. But I would say since maybe like Verizon, which was at the time Bell Atlantic, if you remember that, or Bell South or whatever, or Cellular One. Do you remember Cellular One?
No.
You don't remember
No.
Yeah, of course it doesn't. All right.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. Speaking of moving on, what about drones? There are a lot of new uses that people are finding for drones. The one thing that's so crazy about drones to me is I think there's a lot of great potential positive uses for them, and yet, the biggest problem with them is I think that nobody knows the rules. We have no way of, Adorama was talking to me the other day about doing a seminar in New York City with drones, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can't fly a drone in New York City, period. Adam's telling me you can fly it in parks in New York City, which seems like it makes no sense considering that they're banning them from Yellowstone and other national parks. On the other hand, I think we should do something. I told Adorama it'd be great, and you can ring that register. I told Adorama I think we should do something on safety with these things and learning how to fly them, because they're pretty easy to fly, but if you don't look out for certain things, you could easily crash them and all that stuff.
Well, the other side of that story, is it another side, or the people are using these helicopters, and let me get back to the story that I have in my head. This woman, I think it was in Dallas or Seattle, was on the 26th floor of her apartment, naked, running around naked in her apartment.
Oh, I love this. This sounds like a great idea. This is what I should be doing with my drone.
Like a full block away, this drone pops up, and this photographer is taking some commercial photography with his drone, and the woman calls 911 and reports that there is a peeping Tom on the 26th floor, but this thing's a block away from her house. I mean, go ahead.
No. I mean, people are panicky, and it's silly because look, when I started flying my DJI, people would get the same feelings, and they'd say the same things, and it was all BS, because the bottom line is that you know, yeah, somebody would see a drone and they go, "Oh my God, he's shooting me in the shower," and I'm like, "Yeah, right." I mean, this GoPro couldn't get you in the shower with an 800 millimeter lens attached to it, okay?
Right.
Nor would I want to see you, who weigh 800 pounds, in the shower. And so I do love the idea, like putting it right up against somebody's. Wasn't there that movie in the '80s where the guys were they were the LAPD helicopter patrol, and they would fly up to like the girls' windows and watch them have sex, or undress or whatever. I mean, I love that concept. That's why I love this story in the beginning. But the reality is, I mean, you're not doing that with a drone. You'd literally have to press it up against the glass, and the girl would literally have to be pressed up against the glass, like in Midnight Express. Oh, how many references from the '80s am I going to make in one freaking tirade? But
No,
I will tell you that the guy's excuse that he's using it for commercial photography is the stupidest excuse you can use, because if you go to the FAA's website, it is explicitly not to be used for commercial use right now, and they will revisit that in 2015, which they will probably delay. So I would never tell anybody I'm doing anything commercial with this. I would say building security, playing with myself, anything. And yes, literally, I would say playing with myself while this woman's accusing me of that, before I would say, "Oh, yeah, I'm shooting a commercial. Please, here are my wrists. Put the handcuffs on now." Um, but the drones can be used for really positive things. Certainly in farming, looking over the crops, seeing what needs to be watered more, what needs to be watered less. The guys in the coral reef, trying to figure out how the reef is doing, how the marshes are doing, all these things. These can be used for very positive things, including a lot of fun and doing a lot of great video production as well. And I just think we have to fly them safely. We have to understand how to fly them, and we have to understand safety, not flying them in crowds of people, not flying them too high. One of the recommendations I made to DJI early on was that I need to know the altitude on my remote, whether it be my phone, and they've made that change. With the Phantom 2 Plus, you know the altitude. And the thing is, that's really important, because I don't know, look, at the time the FAA was saying you couldn't fly them over 400 feet. I don't know what 400 feet is opposed to 500 feet, as opposed to even 1,000 feet. I can kind of guess, but I don't really know, and, just by eyeballing it. So I think that there are some changes that need to be standardized across all of them, even the ones that are home built. I kind of think that we should license them. You should have to license the pilots and register them. I don't have a problem with that. We just need to know whose drone it is, and you have to complete a course online or something, so that we know not to bring it into a crowd, not to fly it over a baseball stadium, not to go 4,000 feet and crash into an NYPD helicopter over the George Washington Bridge and get arrested. I think we need to put these things in place, and if we do those things, we can all really enjoy drones for fun and also for really good purposes, and maybe even one day delivery, because it'd be really nice not to have a FedEx guy kick my package across the street. Actually, I take that back, because I love FedEx and they're phenomenal, and I will only ship FedEx. It's the UPS guys who kick my packages across the street.
gee, there's another one. I think that maybe, and I'm going to play devil's advocate like Paul did, maybe there also ought to be, because I agree with you, Michael, that we need to license people. And I know everybody's going to say, well, we don't need any more government involvement in this. But the second side of that is, like, we have a car, right? When you drive,
register it.
you have to have a license. And at least in Missouri, and I think most states in the United States do, you have to have it inspected periodically.
Hold on. You have to have it inspected, you have to have license plates, and you have to register the vehicle. You also have to have insurance in case you do get into an accident, because who is going to pay for the damage when you crash that car or that drone? So these are important things. I agree 100%, and it's not more government things, because you don't, look, I have to make a phone call and talk, and the government doesn't have to spy on that. But I don't have to fly a drone. I choose to fly it. There's no reason that I ever have to fly a drone in my life. It's something I want to do. I don't have to do it. And, I think you're on the right track. So I don't want to cut you off. I want to let you keep going. I just wanted to point that out.
You don't want to cut me off, yet you do.
I just couldn't resist, Mitch. I'm sorry. It was so like, oh my God, I needed to jump in there. I'm sorry.
I love you, Michael. And
I love you too, Mitch.
You interrupted me, and I have no idea what I was saying. But
Talking about licensing, like you have to license a car and government oversight and all that.
because the second side of that is that how many videos have you seen where the helicopter, the drone, has gone suddenly and flipped out and crashed?
Right.
You know, things do crash, and they're because they're in the air, they're dangerous, and people can be hurt and or killed. And you just have to think about that. We license, like you said, cars. We need to license and train drone pilots.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's good that people are trying to do positive things with drones, and I think we just have to keep that in mind too. That there are really a lot of positive benefits to these things. Mitch, I know you got a Fitbit. You finally got it. Last week you didn't get it. You ordered it. What do you think of this thing so far? Do you like it? It's the Fitbit Flex.
It is the Fitbit Flex, and I think you mentioned last week that you wanted the other one. What was the one you want?
You know what? I had the Fitbit Flex. I returned it simply because it didn't have a watch on it. I
Right.
wanted the Fitbit Force. They stopped making that because it was giving people rashes, which I don't really understand how you have the Flex and it doesn't give people rashes. The Force did.
Right.
I I kind of toy with the Nike Fuel Band, but it doesn't. I don't know if it does enough for me. And then I really just want one that looks cool, which I think the Nike one does, tells me the time, and does everything that they all do. I don't want trade-offs with them. I'm so close to breaking down and just buying one. I really
You just need a smartwatch.
Well, I mean,
That's
that's
what it
the
sounds
thing.
like.
I do need a smartwatch. I'm waiting for that iWatch. Now they're calling it the iTime. There was a lot of news about this week because Apple's patents. Geez, I need to learn how to talk. Apple's patents were granted for a wearable, but also Android Wear seems really interesting because the first generation of Android Wear wasn't, let's say, wasn't given the blessing from Google, the Godfather. It was just put out by Samsung, and then a bunch of other companies followed suit, and that's Samsung Gear. I think that some people like it, some people love it, and most people feel that it's nice, but there's a lot left to do there.
One of the
I'm
things that
excited about
bothered,
Android Wear.
I'm going to jump in on you, Michael. The presentation when Google announced this new version of Android Wear really kind of bothered me, and I'm surprised that more people didn't jump up and down and scream about it. A lot of people complain about Apple because Apple likes to enforce some standards. Well, the new Google Wear stuff, they just flat out said, you guys are going to have to do our user interface. We want everything to look standardized. And I understand that it's a small device that you're putting it on, but they really are enforcing some standards such that all the apps are going to look alike. And I think,
Didn't they back that? Didn't they back off that afterwards? And they said that
I'm
did
sorry,
they not? Is that correct? Didn't they back off that a little bit with the faces?
I would hope so because it
I'm
seemed
gonna
mighty
I'm gonna look
restrictive.
this up real quick. Yeah, I mean that bothered me. I do think, and we talked about this last week, that Google is becoming more like Apple, and Apple is somehow becoming a little bit more like Google. Um, but I think that Android Wear is exciting in the fact that they're actually really examining, um, how you can really use these things to be the most benefit and to have all these great features, and they're opening it up to the public, and they're going to make apps for these devices. And I think, look, Pebble has a watch. It's kind of okay. It's kind of not. It's got some features you might want. The idea from Pebble was, hey, you guys as developers build 1 million apps. That's great, but that will never work in a Pebble type community because the problem is there aren't enough Pebble users, and there maybe Pebble goes out now. The idea of somebody building an app, they want to make money, and you're not going to necessarily do that with. Yeah, you can now do custom faces, by the way. Hold on, I'll tell you who that's according to. But you want to make money when you're doing these apps, and with a Pebble, with even we talked about this with the Windows Phone, or with even just a few minutes ago about the Amazon Fire. With these devices and small stores and small audiences, you're not going to be able to make as much money. And then in like the Pebble case, what if they go out of business? Now you've built an app and spent all this time in development, and nobody's going to buy it.
Yeah, the problem is that no one has smartwatches.
Well, but when Apple and Google are behind it, and they
Right.
have app stores, you can have a lot of confidence that if I build an app for that, that people will eventually get it, and the community will build, and I could potentially make money, as opposed to, oh, Pebble, well, what happens when Google comes out with one, or what happens when Apple comes out with one, and people forget about Pebble. And the same thing with Fitbit. What happens when Fitbit came out with one? What happens when Apple comes out with one? So I think that it's better to have all these people make apps for the bigger watches, and then whoever builds the watches use the Android Wear or the iOS one. I don't think Apple's going to let other people build watches for them, but you get the idea. They might, though. And one thing that was interesting about the Apple patent is that they did stuff in the band. They didn't leave the band out, so they made the band be able to give feedback and stuff. You will be able to get custom faces, and they're going to do an API, a watch face API, with the Android L update, and that's according to NDVT Gadgets. But I think I saw this on Engadget and everywhere else this week. Programmable web. Google has now announced that they will turn the watch face API over to developers and watch designers. So, yes, I think that everybody was up in arms, and Google listened and said, okay, here you go.
I'm so thankful that I'm behind the times. Speaking,
No, it's okay. I mean, that's how it was, and I only happened to catch that by accident.
I'm glad you.
Yeah.
If you see over my dog's head here, there's a box from Lose It. We were speaking of connectables, and here's my.
Well, there it is.
The Lose It is an actual scale, so that I can weigh myself. Right. And that connects to the Fitbit, and that also connects to the health apps that I'm using to track my intake and exercise. So I really like that all these things are integrating, and I think that's the way things are going to go. It's unfortunate, like you said, though, and I'm backing way up to the Kindle Fire discussion. You told me it was a mistake for me to buy this, and the more I have used it, the more I agree, because I didn't know at the time, and many people who probably buy this don't know that you can't install, or it does not come with Google Play. You can't buy Google Play apps. You can install it if you go through a manual process, but it's convoluted, and most Americans aren't going to figure it out. But it's really bizarre that there's this whole marketplace that Amazon has thrown out that you can't have access to.
Well, especially because they're building on the Android platform. Why not just build on your own platform? I don't understand why they're locking people out. I think that the phone would be a lot more interesting if they opened it up to Google Play and they had their own store. But the problem with that is that it didn't. There were a lot of people who tried that. Samsung tried it. They failed. They've closed their store. And a lot of the other companies have tried this and failed already. So I think it is interesting, but maybe just live with Android Play and iTunes. The problem, I guess, for a company like Amazon is they want to rake in as much money as they can, and they can't do that in that regard. And they're a big player too, but why are you using Android then? Create your own operating system.
Yeah,
like Windows did and failed.
I mean, there are two big players in the market, and I'm all for competition. Don't get me wrong. It's always good to have multiple sources of stuff, but I think in this particular case, trying to open third and fourth versions of stores when you've already got two elephants in the theater is craziness.
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree more, and I think from a business standpoint, I think it's a very uphill battle. I think that integrating the Amazon stuff in the device, like Amazon Prime and music and the video stuff, all that is great and smart, but I think that having your own store makes no sense. I'm really excited about the wearables. I think that phones really excite me, tablets really excite me, wearables probably at this point excite me the most. I really want one. I even thought about it this morning. I was like, I'm just going to go get one today during lunch, and but I'm just on that fence of like, am I literally throwing $100 in the trash because? And then I said, you know what? But maybe I want the iWatch, but the iWatch is in my mind going to be $400 or $500, and so I'm not going to be able to buy that right away, most likely. And so I'll just hang with this for a while, and then I just say, I'm just rationalizing.
Tell me what it is that you really want, in this wearable device.
Okay, you know what I want, and it's funny. I mentioned the movie Minority Report before. I called Bulgaria and tried to buy one of those watches from the movie back when that came out. I'm a watch guy. I'm a car guy. I'm a gadget guy. I love this stuff. I like wearing a watch. I know most people don't. Paul, do you wear a watch?
I
Most
have
young
one
people
on
don't. Yeah.
right now.
My watch band. I have several watches, but my watch band broke while I was in LA a couple weeks ago. I haven't gotten a chance to get a new watch band, and I'm wearing this silly bracelet because I feel weird not wearing a watch. I mean, this is a cool bracelet I wear on my other hand usually. It's a survivor bracelet, and this one honors the U.S. Air Force. My grandfather was in the Army Air Corps, so it's kind of cool. But I just really would like something that tells the time. I kind of think it would be cool to be able to interact and find out how I'm doing on calories burned, steps. I would like it to track my sleep. I really liked some of the features on the Pebble. First thing is it served as a vibrating alarm clock that could wake me up and tell me that I need to get up, and didn't have to bother my wife. Or at the time my son was just born, and he was sleeping in our room. For the first couple months, and I didn't want to wake him up every time I got up in the morning. So I like that idea. I like that it can track my sleep. I like the idea that if I get a text message, I can get a vibration on my wrist. I don't even have to look at the message on my wrist. It's the fact that I could be sitting in a meeting and I can know that I got a call or a message or an email. Also, that I do like the idea that I can then peek down at my watch and go, okay, I don't need to deal with that now. But I don't even need to. Just the fact that I know that it came through. I know this is going to sound crazy. My dog flips out when she hears my phone vibrate when it's sitting on a table, or when she hears a ding from a message. So when I go into my house, I've turned my phone on silent, which means that I now have to check my phone every 2 minutes, which is annoying, and my wife then thinks that I'm a jerk because I'm constantly checking my phone. But I'm doing that because I can't leave it on anything because the dog gets upset, which I know this is all insane. But that's another reason I would like a wearable. There are about a million reasons I would like a wearable, other than the fact that I'm a freaking geek and I want to geek out with a wearable. I want my watch. I love watches. I love nice watches. I want my watch to be able to do something. I saw the Withings watch. It didn't do enough for me, but I loved it, and I would wear it because I love the idea that it looked nice. The rest of these look like tech pieces, which is fun, but I can't wear it with a suit.
I think the Moto 360 looks pretty cool.
The what?
The Moto 360.
The Moto 360?
Yeah, have you seen it?
I'm gonna check it out right now while we're talking.
It's basically, it's like, it kind of looks like my watch I have on now, but it's circular. I don't think it comes out at the end of the summer, I think, but it's circular, and it's like a nice steel rim. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, I see it, but I'd like to see it in person. These are all the pictures they have. With the hold on, I gotta find a plug for my computer. It's about to die, and I thought I had it plugged in. So you guys talk for a second. All these are renderings. All the images are renderings until we actually see it working. The jury's out. I'll be back in 2 seconds. You guys keep talking.
One of the things that I've been very concerned about recently, and I think you're highlighting it, Michael, is that we've gotten very much into a multitasking and distraction-oriented environment. Maybe Michael can't even hear me, but I don't need to know every time I get a text. To be honest with you, I think we're all getting too distracted, and it irritates me that people can't put their phones down for 15 minutes without going, oh, it beeped, and I have to go look at it. Or even if it was a watch, to me, I'm trying to cut out distractions so that I can focus. And
right. I think the way I don't know, our generation's heading, it's more like instant. I have to see what's going on right now. I have to constantly be checking
where you're going. Wait, let me give you an example. Again, my 16-year-old was at camp today, and there was a 15-minute break, and she wanted to talk to some of her friends at this camp. And every one of them during the 15-minute break pulled out their phone and was talking, quote unquote, communicating with somebody who was not sitting there in front of them.
Right. That's how it is even with my friends now.
That's what's happening with you people.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's sad.
Affected by these things that you can't communicate one-on-one.
Right.
Makes me mad.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I agree. Like when I hang out with my friends, all of us, will be on our phones most of the time. Like I
It's
don't know,
got
conversation doesn't really happen as much
It's
face
like
to
a
face
safety.
anymore.
It's like a safety blanket these days. You know, it really is. I mean, sometimes when I don't have my hand on my phone now, I feel a little like weird. You know, it's very odd.
And I have that issue myself. I've become very addicted to those kind of things. But frankly, you don't have to know when every email arrives. You don't have to know when every text arrives. Eh, Besides the fact that, you know, if you're working on something, for example, and you get a text message or an email, do you know that it takes you from 3 to 5 minutes to get back your concentration on what you were working on?
No, it's very distracting. I get the best work done when I don't, have any of this stuff going on, when I don't pay attention to it, when I turn it off, or when I, when I put my phone on silent and I start working on a document, and I don't check my email, that's when I get the most work done and the most accomplished and I can focus the most. It definitely takes our focus away. I find that a lot of times now, I am not as focused on anything individually. Like for this, even doing the show, I have to remind myself the phone's got to go off. I can do some research while we're doing stuff, but I have to keep it to a minimum, and I don't want to know when I'm getting a text message or a this or a that because of the fact that it does break your concentration and your focus. I think we've been able to do two really nice shows where we are very focused, but it's almost like a challenge these days to not have all this stuff going on and to really drill down. And so I think it's really awesome though to be able to do that.
What I have done with this particular setup that I have on my computer is that I've created a separate user ID on my Mac, and I only open the apps that I have to have for doing this kind of a show. Everything else is turned off. And I had to do that because there were too many other distractions. If you're doing something like this, you've got to concentrate. So if anybody out there is listening, take time and sit down and talk to your family and your friends and put the if Paul, if you're going to have a group, there's going to be everybody agree that for the next 10-15 minutes we're going to put our phones down and we're not going to look at them. See if you can do that and communicate with each other.
Next time I'll bring it up. I don't think anyone would be happy about that, but
Yeah, well, especially because you're Snapchatting girls. That's the problem. And look, that's what I would be doing too if I were you. It's all I would care about. I'd be like,
that's
oh,
all.
hey,
That's all I do. The Snapchat girls.
I know that. I'm like, Paul, are you gonna work on this shoot that we're on? Or are you gonna edit this video? Or are you gonna be Snapchatting Susie over there?
Right. Right. Yeah.
As they say in Full Metal Jacket, Mary, never mind. All right.
Is that why Adam went outside to do that phone call?
I'm sure. I mean, it had to be. He came in here. He smelled like he had gone to the gym. Right? He was sweating so profusely, and then he says, "Oh yeah, it's really hot outside." Well, why'd you go outside to make a phone call? Oh, it's a nice day out. Really? Yeah. It's so nice that you're sweating like crazy. To the fact that when you walked in here, it smelled like you were in the gym, or I was in a gym. And yet, whatever. Anyway, getting back to the, the wearables, I really do, I'm excited about them. I'm curious what the Motorola one is, but I don't know why, but lately I get into this mood where if a company delivers one bad product after another, which I feel Motorola has, and I feel like they're so out of touch that they're creating a sticker tattoo to unlock my phone, that I can't get excited about their product. So I'd really have to see it and really have to fall in love with it and be convinced. Samsung, I think, did a good job out of the gate, although I haven't really played that much with it. I think some of these other wearable companies have. I'm really excited for the Apple one. I like what Withings is doing, and I just can't wait to get these. And I think being able to take pictures and shoot video on them is cool, too. A lot of people think that's silly because I have a camera on my phone. While I kind of agree with that, I also, look, I like the wearable camera idea with the GoPro and the shooting video undercover and all this cool stuff. So I don't know.
Well, I think that I recently saw a video of a young man who was bicycling, and a woman crashed into him in the bicycle, and he flipped over and blah blah blah. The cool thing about that is that he had the camera and was able to show the insurance company and the police exactly what happened.
Do you have a dash cam?
No, I don't.
I've been thinking about getting a dash cam. A lot of people I know have them, and they've come in handy.
Well, New York, I can see why.
Yeah.
Isn't there a lot of crime there and damage?
Yeah, no crime, nothing.
No
Uh,
crime in New York.
but no, my wife was in a small fender bender recently, and the guy told a completely different story than the police, and then actually happened, and the cop decided to believe her, and yeah, it would have been great if we had a dash cam.
See,
Anyway,
ones right. Just about everybody in Moscow has a dash cam because they've got
I think it's required there to have dash cam.
all those people jump out and try to cause accidents and stuff in order to get the insurance claim. So it's like become really required.
I think in China they're very popular too. I think they'll be required here eventually. Look, I mean, you can't do anything. Here's what they do. They sell you a Corvette now. They put a black box in it. You get into an accident. The insurance company says, "Oh, you were doing 120 miles an hour because we could tell that by your black box." Wait, you sold me a car that does 200 miles an hour and cost me $85,000, and there's a box in there that reports my speed at time of impact? Really?
I didn't know that. Do they?
Yeah, I don't want that car.
Yeah.
And I don't want any car to be able to do that. And but you can't do anything
But you're a tech geek. You want it to do everything, don't you?
except for that. It can report it to my. No, I don't even want it on my phone. You know what? I'd like to get into my car and be able to do what I'd like to do. Maybe an old vintage car is right in order for some high-speed driving. Mitch, what do you think of OS X Yosemite? Or, yeah, I guess it's Yosemite.
Yeah.
The beta's been released.
I almost signed up for it, Michael. I almost did.
Really?
I actually, I'm always been an OS 10 guy. I should always. I used to do all the old ones, but I'm a Mac guy, okay? And I'm really excited about how it's going to integrate with iOS 8.
Yeah.
Of course, iOS 8 isn't available yet. I'm just really excited about it. There are a lot of features that are going to be really nice, I think. But I yesterday actually had to go, no, I've got more important things that I have to do than to just download some test software and geek out.
It's been so popular that they've had to lock it down to the first 1 million people. And I think what's interesting too about this is it shows that there are more and more people developing or becoming more geeky, which is great. But also, I think what's interesting about this is that I get excited about the last few, right? And they're all supposed to integrate better with iOS, and then it's a letdown. I think this one's going to finally be the one where it all integrates well. We've got a new cloud that's different, and I'm out of cloud storage. I'll be able to keep buying it, which is nice, kind of like a Dropbox or something else. And so I'm actually really excited about this one, and it can't get here soon enough. But then it creates all sorts of other problems with Premiere and with all these other programs we use to video edit and all this stuff. It's always the middle of the road that has no problem, and it's guys like us that get messed up. But we've switched over to FCPX pretty much at this point, so I think that we'll probably do the upgrade pretty early, although it does make me nervous to do it. I'll certainly do it on my laptop as soon as it's available, and I will also, I'm sure, do iOS 8 the minute it becomes available, when everybody else is trying to do it.
Right. I would love to have the time to spend doing a beta right now, but I really put on my business hat and said, I got too many other things, like this wonderful show that we're doing with incredible technology.
Although I would have rationalized it to myself that because of this show, it is a business, it is an important thing to the business for me to download that and spend a couple hours doing it.
There was a little devil sitting on my shoulder saying, exactly that, Michael. Exactly that.
But you know what? We've seen the demo. We kind of know what it's going to be. Let's just wait for it to actually come out and not deal. The problem is actually, I think, more that you'd have to then deal with the issues and troubleshooting them, not the hour it takes to install it, but the 8 hours or 10 hours or 2 days you're going to spend with all these issues. Mitch, I noticed that the Pocket Cam went down in price, the Blackmagic Pocket Cam. Yeah, I did. And you said that it's selling out in a lot of places and that they don't have stock in it, and the thing is supposed to end August 31st. I've got a couple things that make me believe that this is the end of this version of the Pocket Cam, and that that's why there's this sale, not because, we just wanted to have a summer sale. That makes no sense to me. You can't go back and raise the price in my mind, and there are a ton of firmware updates and problems with this camera that I don't think they can fix through firmware updates, and they probably just said, you know what, we'll release a new camera. This to me says we're releasing a new camera. I wouldn't buy the camera because of that right now.
Michael, there are so many things to talk about with this, and getting a word in edgewise with you is so much fun. Paul, if you haven't learned yet, if you really want to say something, you just got to barrel through, okay?
Yeah, I gotta buck up, I guess. That's what it is.
So the story is that it was reported on Skinopio of the website, and I can never pronounce it, and I don't even know how it's spelled anymore. But it was reported there that the Blackmagic Pocket camera, which was reduced from $995 down to $495, about 2 weeks ago, that people were walking into stores and not being able to find it. And I believe that was mainly overseas. And so I actually wrote to the folks over at Blackmagic yesterday, and they replied that, yeah, we had a little clause in the press release that said, you know, we reserve the right or whatever to limit quantities on this. And so what's happened is that they have some number that they have released certain quantities to places, and once those quantities are gone, the price goes back up to $999.
Wow.
And so, you know, if you were interested in buying one, you better get out there and do it now if you can find one. I'm not saying that all the stores are going to sell out. I don't have any idea. It purely depends upon what the allocation was for each individual store or group of stores. But be warned that if you wanted one, they may not be available all the way through August 31st. Now,
Are you buying what they're selling?
I have not purchased one for the simple fact that I don't have lenses that would fit on it. Okay, so that's the first issue.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, are you buying?
I believe that they're going to come out with a new camera. Yes, sure. And so they want to get rid of some of their existing stock. I don't find a $500 price shop is anything other than a new camera coming out.
Right. I mean, look, when Nikon comes out with a new camera, they drop the camera prices $200, $300. Same thing with Canon. This is a major price drop. This is cutting the camera in half. It's $500. I don't think there's anything else here except we're coming out with a new camera. I don't think they want people to know that because I think they want to get rid of the stock. I do like the camera. I think it has some great attributes and you can shoot some great stuff with it. I think there are some limits and there are some problems with it, and I think they're going to answer that in a version 2, and I think that's what we're going to see around the corner, and I think that's why they're doing the sale. Let's just dump our inventory. Let's help our dealers. I know that Adorama has run low on stock twice and been restocked, so I don't know what their stock is like today, but you know, I do know that this could be an issue with the pocket camera, and I do feel that a lot of these issues like battery life, like the fact that you can't format cards in the camera, like the fact that the screen is terrible, like the fact that you have some other issues. There's no battery meter warning. That's a firmware update. There's no warning to tell you when the card runs out. That's a firmware update. The other things I think are more and there's a lot of moire in the camera. I think there are other things that are more sensor, hardware related that they won't be able to fix till a version 2. I mean, the battery lasts 20 minutes. You know.
Yeah. There are quite a few issues with most of these cameras.
Right.
However, if you're in the market for something like this is a great opportunity to get one for half price.
Right, absolutely. I think Adam just walked in from another phone call. Is that wrong, Paul? Did he just walk in behind you? Yes.
He's behind me.
Ask him if he was making a phone call.
Was he sweaty?
I can't tell.
That's all right.
Yeah, all right, he doesn't want to ask. He's not like me. I would just walk up to him. I'd bring the computer to him. Hey, Mitch, can we do this over an iPad next week? Like, can I do Google Plus Hangout over an iPad because I'm going to be traveling on Thursday next week.
Actually, you can try it. I actually tried it with my Planet 5D podcast guest this past week before we actually did the real podcast, and the performance was atrocious.
Really?
The video that he was sending in to me was, like 5 frames per second and, big fat pixels as opposed to what we're seeing now.
We'll have to do a test, but I'm curious.
And I do want to explain to people, I'm glad you said that before we wrap the show up, because we're frankly at an hour already, and I know people are probably wanting to get back to lunch. I mean, back to work.
Back to life.
Yeah, back to whatever they were doing before they got totally distracted by our intelligence. For those of you who are watching the video version, now there is going to be an audio version, so we're going to have both ways of doing this. But the video version, we haven't quite figured out all the issues, but my video looks terrific because I am me. But I've actually initiated the Google Hangout. But for some reason, even though they are on a high-quality direct line, Michael's video and Paul's video, they're both in the same building. It's really kind of blocky and stuttery, like maybe 15 frames a second. We haven't quite figured that out, but that's the joy of Google Hangouts, and we're going to try to get that fixed and worked on in future versions. But we appreciate you hanging with us in the first couple of episodes.
I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for watching. Hit me up at BeTerrificTV on Twitter. Be terrific.
Paul, who are you?
Paul, just thank you for tuning in, and maybe we'll see you next week. Not the week after.
He's so unconfident. We got to teach this kid everything. How does the Snapchat work with you? Maybe you could send me a picture. No, ask for it like a man.
Well,
hey,
neither of us are going to be here next week.
Maybe he's going to have one of those sissy girl phones next week.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I'm bringing Amazon Prime.
All right, listen,
Amazon
you need to say, this is how you're going to say it. We'll see you next time, Paul. That's how you say it. Now go for it.
We'll see you next time.
A little bit more confidence. Practice it. Practice it. One more time. Hold on.
We'll see you next time.
There you go, brother.
We will see all of you next time on the next episode of Tech Talk Time. Stop the broadcast.